Douglas Allen Bickford. It is the 3rd of August 2022, broadcasting live out of my 105-year-old house from my hometown of Klamath Falls, Oregon. On today's date, I am a self-taught psychiatrist, therapist, and counselor. And the reason that is because I have thousands of hours of studying how the science of the mind, how the mind works. I specialize in emotional, sexual, and physical abuse victims. And that's because I am a victim and I've learned how to heal myself. I can help you heal yourself too. And there are billions of people on the planet that have suffered from emotional, sexual, and physical abuse. Seriously, folks, it's that bad. But I have taught myself how to heal myself, and I can help you also. 1 hour a week, 4 times a month. All I need you to do is call me at 458-232-5238 to schedule your first session. We will be going through this book, okay, a lesson at a time, and it's how I've learned how to heal myself. And she's a self-taught, or she's a psychiatrist, therapist, a counselor, okay. So anyway, my phone number again, 458-232-5238, 1 hour a week, 4 times a month, and then you'll have, the only thing you'll have to pay for, I'm not charging for this service, is this book, The Portable Therapist, okay? $16 off Amazon, come right to your front door. So, attain a healthy mind. You can't get a healthy mind until you attain and maintain a thing called self-esteem. That comes out of this book right here. Her name is Dr. Susanna McMahon. She's got a doctorate in psychology. She also has a master's in philosophy. She's 73, lives in Madrid, Texas with her husband. Every lesson in this book talks about how we've been trained and taught not to have a healthy mind and not to have self-esteem. She's a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist for many years out of her life. Don't know what she's doing now. But anyway, she knew nobody was teaching self-esteem. She's had thousands of clients hiring her and paying her big bucks to fix their unhealthy mind, to help them fix their unhealthy mind. She knew nobody was teaching self-esteem back then. In fact, they didn't even want us to have it. It's still happening today, but now it's happening with the social media. Okay? But she knew back then that her clients, nobody was teaching it, so she knew her clients didn't have it. And she knew also that to attain a healthy mind, you have to have self-esteem. Okay? So she had to come up with a concept to give her clients, to give themselves self-esteem. And here's that very simple concept. It's called mirror therapy. You look at yourself in the mirror and say 4 things. I love you. I love my inner child. I'm worthy to be loved. I'm worthy to love. I am full of goodness. Those 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily will give you self-esteem instantaneously. But to maintain that self-esteem, you have to practice it. It's like lifting weights. If you start lifting weights and you stop, you have to start over from scratch because you lose muscle mass. It's self-esteem is the exact same thing for the brain. So you'll have to say those 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily for the rest of your life instead of criticizing yourself, folks. We all get older, we start criticizing ourselves in the mirror. It'll take you less than 10 seconds. I love Douglas Allen Bickford. I love my inner child. I'm worthy to be loved. I'm worthy to love. I am full of goodness. Those 4 things to yourself daily in the mirror will give you self-esteem, and you will maintain it if you keep doing it. The reason mirror therapy is so powerful and why she came up with it is because we cannot lie to ourselves in the mirror. It's a psychological event that happens in your brain. You can't look dead straight in your eyes and tell yourself something that you don't believe. That's why you can very easily either think or say bad things about yourself when you're in front of the mirror. You can't say good things to yourself in the mirror because you don't believe it about yourself. It's because of all our training, okay? And because you don't believe that about yourself. So the very first time you say it in front of the mirror, folks, you'll have to force yourself to do it. It will take you less than 10 seconds, okay? Just force yourself about, that's really strange and awkward feeling, okay? Because it's going to feel very strange because you can't lie to yourself in the mirror. In fact, you want to turn me off because I tell you that. Because I tell, say, look in the mirror and say I love you, right? Because it sounds really weird, but nobody's ever taught you how to do it. Nobody's ever taught you how to get self-esteem, okay? Self-esteem is the absolute most important thing you can have as a human being. And here's why that is. We can't be content without it. We can't have internal peace without it. What content means is you feel good about how, where, and what you are. And like I said, it's also known as internal peace. There are 11 things that people are using to try to be content. They are all the social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all the rest of them. Drugs, alcohol, sex, food, gambling, television, religion, another person, material possessions, or money. Those 11 things are known as externals. They're outside of yourself. They will make you feel good temporarily, but that good feeling never goes away or never lasts, okay? Think about the drug and the alcohol buzz, right? The drug high and the alcohol buzz. It's always a temporary thing. Then you have to do more drugs or alcohol to get the same good feeling, the same content feeling. And the other 9 things are exactly the same, okay? The absolute only thing that's going to give you internal peace and make you content permanently is to attain and maintain self-esteem by the 4 things to yourself in the mirror daily instead of criticizing yourself, folks. It is that simple. The other reason it's so vital that you have self-esteem as a human being, you can't be loved or loved without it. So what happens is you get yourself, you'll meet somebody, right? You'll meet exactly what you are. If you don't have self-esteem, you meet somebody that doesn't have it. So then, because you attract each other, and then those same 2 people that got in that relationship, you married him, you don't marry him, right? After the good feeling goes away, that's when the fights and the arguments start. It's, that's when the cheating starts, the drug and alcohol use, going to bars, picking up strange people to have sex with, the flirting with in front of your significant other, right in front of each other. You do it, okay? Cheating on each other, getting in the car, going down the road, saying how, trying to get away from this person. You go to therapy, nothing ever fixes it. You apologize, and then it all just keeps happening. So because the relationship turned toxic, you'll divorce or separate, right? So then the same 2 people will go jump right back in another relationship, and the exact same thing will happen. Because you got in another one without self-esteem, without loving yourself first. There's absolutely only one way to get in a healthy relationship, and that's to go in loving yourself before, okay? You try to love somebody else. The next thing that'll happen in relationships that turn toxic, the 2 people will just stay in it forever, even though the thing's been toxic for years. I mean, I know people, I know one, they've been together 70 years. It's my ex-wife's parents. 90s, they're in their 90s, and they've been together forever, okay? And I've seen the reaction with these people. They hate each other, they don't like each other, you can tell. But anyway, so that's the second thing that'll happen. They'll stay in a toxic, or stay in these bad relationships forever, right? And the reason they stay is because they're codependent on each other. They can't be alone. They don't want to be failures. They don't want to be an embarrassment to all their family and friends, and church members couldn't make it, right? They have nowhere to go. So they'll stay in it forever. And at that point, it becomes a dysfunctional family. And then they shoot out dysfunctional children that go get in dysfunctional families. It's the cycle just continues down the line, excuse me. And the very last thing that'll happen, that two got together with no self-esteem, is they'll just exit out of the romantic scene. They'll just be like, done, I'm done. I can't find anybody to love me. I can't find anybody to love. So they'll just not be with anybody for the rest of their lives, and they'll be alone. But you can't be content without self-esteem. So they'll still be miserable alone, just like they're miserable in that relationship. And they'll use the 11 things to try to be happy, try to be content, right? So there's a solution to the problem, a fix, a cure. If all parties involved got attained and maintained self-esteem by them 4 things to themselves in the mirror daily, it will fix a toxic relationship. It'll fix the loneliness that person has that's all alone out there. And if the other person doesn't want to get healthy, change, then it'll give the person in a toxic relationship that wants to change the strength and the courage to get out of it and quit taking the abuse. And then all parties involved get the book and go through the other many concepts in this book that will give you a healthy mind. Okay? So, that's all the things that'll happen. 2 people got involved with no self-esteem. Here's the next lesson that I'm teaching. How can I fall out of love? Lesson 75. We have left a relationship, but we are still in love with our partner. This is the absolute first lesson I read out of this book, okay? Because I left a toxic relationship, pushing, I'm working on 22 months ago now. November 2nd, 2020. It lasted 3.5 years. It was terrible. But this is the first lesson I read out of it. And that's a whole nother story, how all this came about, that I ended up teaching self-esteem on YouTube and Facebook. It's because I got out of a toxic relationship 3.5 years ago, and I found this book. In the first place I landed, which is at my son's house. How can I fall out of love? We have left a relationship, but we are still in love with our partner, or we have been rejected by someone we love. How do we get over this relationship? Most of us have experienced being in love with someone who does not love us, says most of us, and we all have, folks. Most of us know what it is to be unable to have a relationship with the person we love. We know how incredibly painful it is, man. It is painful. It is not to be able to love and be loved. We cannot believe that anyone else has ever felt so much pain and still survived. We cannot imagine what it will feel like to be out of this pain and stop loving the other person. I'm still going through this pain. It's been over 21 months. I mean, I still have, I'm just like, wow. I still have pain, and it's been that long, but I've been facing it, and I didn't jump back in another relationship. Because that's what I've done for 4 marriages, okay? Jumped right back in before I ever got over the pain of the one I left, okay? We cannot imagine what it will feel like to be out of love with it, out of this pain, and stop loving the other person. It is important to know that it is possible to fall out of love, and that we do have some control over this process. While we cannot control our feelings, we cannot control our obsession with the other, and we can control our needs for the other. While we cannot, I'm going to read that again. While we cannot control our feelings, we can control our obsession with the other, and we can control our needs for the other. It is ironical that we often feel more pain leaving a dysfunctional and unhealthy relationships than we do leaving healthy ones. That is because unhealthy relationships are about needs rather than about real love. The more needs that we have for the other, the more difficult it feels to give them up. We feel as if we are giving up a large part of ourselves rather than just the other person. This kind of relationship is called a symbiotic relationship because we cannot tell where we end and where the other begins. It is as if we have been glued to the other person and now that we are unglued, we no longer feel complete. It is as if we have been glued to the other person, and now that we are unglued, we no longer feel complete. Being out of this type of relationship is a blessing in disguise, because now we will be forced to glue ourselves back together and perceive ourselves as separate from others, complete and whole and independent. We do not need to thwart this process by gluing on to the next person who comes along, or we will only be delaying our self-unification and adding more pain in our life. I did it 4 marriages, okay? I added more and more pain in my life. I never went through the pain. I never got independent. 4 marriages, 38 years of my life, folks. And there is lots of you in the same boat out there. But I can help you. We do not need to, I just read that. Begin the process of falling out of love by accepting the fact that you need to be out of love with the other. Recognize that this will take time and will not happen overnight, man. Like I said, it's been I'm working on 22 months now. But it's gotten a lot better. It takes time to really love somebody else, and it takes time to stop loving them. Change your focus on how much you love the other to how much you needed the other, and then begin filling these needs for yourself. If you needed the other to be loved, practice loving yourself. And that's exactly what I do. If you act as if you love yourself and engage in loving activities towards yourself. If you needed the sex, masturbate, and she's a woman, so she did the same thing, and fantasize about others, not the loved one. If you needed the touch, get a massage or a facial, or ask your friends and family for lots of hugs. If you need the companionship, reach out to your friends, make new friends, extend yourself, and begin new hobbies and activities. In the beginning, all of these things will feel like poor substitutes for the person you are missing. But over time, they will compensate. I got back into my music big time, man. And I've learned how to love myself, by the 4 things to myself in the mirror. In the beginning, all these things will feel like poor substitutes for the person you're missing, but over time they will compensate. Allow yourself to grieve and give yourself permission to really grieve for a certain amount of time every day. Set aside a grieving hour and hurt like hell for that hour, and then force yourself to stop by getting involved in something else. Write letters you will never send, expressing your anger and sadness at your loss. Call a variety of people for support when you need it, but avoid using 1 or 2 people consistently for support and a shoulder to cry on. In this way, you will not abuse their friendship and not risk losing other important people in your life. Know that today and tomorrow will be horrible, but next week will only be bad in a month from now. it will start to get better. And this is what I'm going through this, but I went through the pain of 4 marriages. I still have been. Pay attention to and value the moments that you're not in pain, because they will be amongst all the painful ones. In this way, you have less tendency to get stuck in the pain. Focus on anything positive that is happening to you. Sometimes we lose excess weight. All we need is sleep less or have more energy. And use these positives to work for you. You might as well be miserable doing something rather than being miserable and doing nothing. And above all, do not mask, this is so big. Above all, do not mask the pain or deny it by engaging in destructive behaviors, drugs, alcohol, or overeating, promiscuous sex, life-threatening risk. Masked pain, or pain that is not dealt with, does not leave. I'm going to read that again. Masked pain that is not dealt with does not leave. It hangs around until you're willing to face it. Deal with your pain and it will leave. Hide from it, and you will only produce more. Wow. Remember that you functioned before you fell in love, and that you will function again after you fall out of love. Excuse me. It may help to reverse the falling in love process. Conceptualize falling in love with a person as walking up a set of stairs. When we fall in love, we tend to overlook or disregard the things we do not like about the other. Man, I have done this every marriage. It is as if each time we walk up a stair, we throw something we do not like over the railing, so that when we reach the top, being in love, we have thrown off all the negative traits and behaviors of the other. Falling out of love means walking down the same set of stairs and retrieving everything of the things we threw over the railing. And this works too. I did this stuff. I still do it, actually. This time we focus on each thing that we did not like, that bothered us. Nothing is too small for our attention. When we get to the bottom of the stairs, we will be dealing with a flawed human being, and this is someone that is easier to fall out of love with. Try to avoid the romantic places and music that you shared with the other. This is not the time for a trip down memory lane. Why bring more pain than you already have? Put yourself in new environments or situations without painful memories. One day you will be able to hear your songs and be in your places, and it will be bittersweet. This stuff's all happened to me. And you'll more easily deal with it. But not now. Not only it will hurt like hell. Take good care of yourself. Remember that when you are hurting and in pain, you need to be even kinder and more loving than usual to yourself. Avoid recriminations of self-blame and do not obsess over your past mistakes. You are human, imperfect, and you are allowed to make mistakes. You cannot maintain a relationship with the illusion of infallibility. When someone stops loving you, this has more to do with where you are, where they are, than what you have done. When you love others, your love is a gift to them. When you are loved, you are receiving a gift from someone else. You do not have any control over when and how others choose to give you their gifts. You cannot demand or expect these gifts because they are no longer gifts. You can only expect the gift of being loved from yourself. When someone stops loving you, love yourself more. This is exactly what I've done. And you can do it too. When you stop loving someone else, also love yourself more. This will help to reduce the neediness within yourself to be loved and will prevent symbiotic relationships with others. Woo! There's another very important lesson for you folks. Call me 458-232-5238 to schedule your first session, and I can help you with emotional, sexual, and physical abuse and unhealthy relationships and how to fall out of love, like I just read you out of this book here. Y'all have a great day out there on this Wednesday. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. Next lesson is, what is a natural high? Have a great day out there. Douglas Allen Bickford. It is the 3rd of August 2022, broadcasting live out of my 105-year-old house from my hometown of Klamath.